Good evening, everyone. Happy Sunday night. I hope you are doing well. If you celebrated Mother's Day today, either as a mother or as a child celebrating with your mother, I hope you had a great day and I hope you pampered your mother, a whole lot and said thank you, thank you, thank you. Even if you're a mother yourself, I have great appreciation for my mother and her raising the three of us, but especially raising me because I definitely gave her a run for her money. And now that I have three kids of my own and, definitely two preteen, sort of starting the hormonal girls, I am very appreciative of my mother and everything that she did because she raised three girls and girls are not easy, right? Really not easy. And I'm just starting because my oldest is just 12. So, she just turned 12. So I shout out to my mom and to my mother-in-law for everything they've done to raise us and, help us and be there for our kids as well because we couldn't do it without them. It's hard to be a parent and our kids definitely don't appreciate that. So, if you're a mom, happy Mother's Day. And like I said, if you are not a mom, please give a shout out to your mom because all moms deserve it. But tonight I wanted to talk to you about the secret to my success, right? The secrets that, people often ask me, how do I do it? How do you do it, right? They've watched me over the years. People who have known me for any amount of time know that in the past I have not been so successful at getting healthy and keeping the weight off. And there's been a big change. The last 3 years has been a big, big, big change. Hey, Michael, thank you for the Mother's Day wishes. It's been a big change for me over the last few years. And the truth is, it's not such a secret what I've done, right? Okay, so, most of you know, if you're listening to this, if you've been following me at all, 3 years ago, I'm going to recap my story because I know I have some new Facebook friends out here who may be listening and may not know my story, may not have heard where I came from. So if this is a repeat to you, I apologize. But I always like to fill people in of where I'm coming from and how I got here. So 3 years ago, I was at complete rock bottom, right? I felt like a failure. I had another round of having lost a bunch of weight and put it back on in a very short amount of time. I was just in a really, really, really bad place physically, right? I was achy all over. I was full of inflammation. It was just in a really bad place. So physically I was in a bad place. Mentally, I was in a terrible place. I felt like a complete failure, right? Like I said, I had lost a whole lot of weight over the previous 2 years and within 6 months put almost all of it back on. And I was up, with 75 pounds to lose again. So in that sense, I felt like a failure. I was the mom living on the sidelines, right? Talking about this on Mother's Day. I did not feel like a very good parent. I had three little kids who wanted me and wanted me to play with them and wanted me to run with them and wanted me to be the mom that was active. And I just didn't have any energy and I just couldn't do it. And I just really didn't want to get up off the couch and get dressed and go do anything with them. I just felt miserable. So in that sense, I felt like a failure as a parent. Hey, Tina. I just all the way around. And part of that with feeling like a failure as a parent was I felt so blessed to have been given the three children that I have, and to be, the fact that Emma was at that time healthy, that I had survived Elliot's birth, all these things that I've been talking about a lot over the last few days, going into Mother's Day. I felt so blessed. But yet I felt like this complete failure because I didn't have the energy to be with them. And I didn't, and they didn't have the mom that they deserved. And then I felt like a failure because we were in a huge financial mess, terrible place. And I felt so guilty over that because I had a business previously before Emma was born. I had a business that had actually been doing pretty well. And then the economy crashed and my business went right? And then that was when Emma was a baby, and then she got really sick. And I walked away from my business. She went into the hospital. She was 2 years old. Madeline was 6 weeks old, and I just walked away from the business. I never went back to the office. And it didn't matter to me at the time that I walked away and accepted on a whole lot of debt. But at this point, right, 3 years ago, I was feeling really, really, really guilty, right? It was all mounting up on me, and I felt like a huge failure, and I felt just miserable. and I didn't know what to do, right? I had 3 little kids, and it didn't make sense for me to not be a stay-at-home mom. I wasn't going to make enough money to leave the house and to go work, right? I still had kids at home. Not everybody was at school at the time. And so that didn't make sense. But I was just sort of in this bad, vicious cycle. And I finally said 3 years ago in March, enough is enough. I can't live like this anymore. I can't do this anymore, right? And I was really beyond at my wit's end. And that was when I picked up the phone and I asked for help, right? I had to ask for help. And that was when I started this amazing program. And I didn't start this program with the idea of changing my life emotionally. I didn't start this program with the idea of changing my life financially. I had to start with the physical. I had to get my physical health back. I had to be able to be the mom physically. I needed to lose that weight, and I needed to get my energy back, and I needed to be able to be here for my kids and to be that mom that I wanted to be. And that phone call saved my life. That phone call saved my family. That phone call saved everything and has totally changed us, right? That one not so simple phone call. I mean, it was a simple phone call for me to pick up the phone and make it, but it was so hard for me to be able to put all of this out there, to be able to admit how I was feeling and that I needed help, right? Because I was always the person that I was the one that people turned to for help, right? When people saw me, they had no idea that all this was going on in my head. I was the person who walked around that I would plaster a smile on my face and pretend to be happy and pretend that everything was okay. And nobody knew how much financial trouble we were in. And the fact that we were, having difficulty putting food on our table, because that's not the way we made it appear. We made it appear that everything was okay, but it was far from okay. And so I made that phone call, and I didn't even tell my coach at that time how bad things were. She just knew physically that I was in a bad place. She didn't know about the other pieces. She didn't know about my emotional distress. She didn't know about our financial distress, but I was just asking for help for the physical. And I made that decision that day that I was going to change, right? Even without saying all of that, I was going to change. I needed to change something, and it had to start with me. It had to start with me taking my physical health and making that a priority. And when I did that, everything changed in my life. Everything opened up, and I was given so many blessings that I can't even begin to count. And over the last 3 years, right, very shortly after I started this and saw the magic of this program and saw how great I felt as I started to lose the weight and how everything started to change, and I knew I had to pay this forward. I knew I had to pay it forward because that was the gift that was given to me in order to be able to pay this forward. Tina, you also need to lose 75 pounds. I know where you are. I know how that feels. And I knew I had to pay it forward. And so about 6 weeks into my journey, I started to pay it forward. And I started to reach out to help other people. And that became the secret to my success, right? Not only it changed my life physically. Not only did I change my life physically, I lost the weight. It took me about 7 months to lose 75 pounds, but I've been able to keep it off. And I've been able to help a whole lot of other people do the same thing. Because I said yes, because I picked up that phone and asked for help, over 1,200 people that I can account for, not even people that the trickle-down effect, right? My kids and my husband is counted in that, but my kids are not counted in there, right? The other people that are not, that it has trickled down to, and my friends who have joined who have joined along, and their kids are not counted in there. So it's so many more, but over 1,200 people that can be accounted for have changed their lives because I picked up the phone one day and asked for help. That's mind-blowing. That is a gift that I was given. The gift that I was given was the gift that not only could I help myself, but I could then reach out and help others, which is why I come live all the time, because that's my wish, that's my hope, is that by sharing my story, whether my program is right for somebody or not, sharing my story can give you the courage to pick up the phone and ask for help, whether it's from me or from somebody else, or do what you need to do to help yourself change your life and change the others. But people often ask me, what is your secret, right? So many people, the majority of people that go on a quote-unquote diets don't work. Diets don't work. I'm going to tell you that right now. Diets don't work. The majority of the people who try to go and lose weight, 85% of them don't keep it off. 0.001% of people who lose the weight keep it off more than 2 years. I am proud to say that I am part of that 0.001%, right? And that a lot of the people that I work with are part of that 0.001%. And it's not by accident. It is not by accident. And that's what I want to share with you. And that's what I want to share with you, the secret to my success. Because my success is work. It's putting in the work. It's putting in the effort every single day. And it's hard. It's really, really, really hard work. So if anybody ever tells you that this is easy, they're lying to you. Okay? I'm going to tell you that flat out. If anybody tells you that this is easy, they're lying to you. But here's the secret to my success. The secret to my success is I approach this as if I was learning a new language, right? Anybody who's ever learned a foreign language knows that the best way to learn that foreign language is to immerse yourself into it and to start using it and to start speaking it and to start living it, right? Well, the same way to change your life and to change your habits, because that's what this is about, right? This wasn't about some diet that I did. This was that I changed my life. I changed my habits. I changed the way I think, because weight loss and getting healthy is almost all up here, right? It's almost all up here. Yes, it is about what you put in your mouth, and it is about exercise, and it is all about all those things, but it's all up here. It's really, whether you can do it or not, is all up here. And the way to change this is to immerse yourself in it. And the way I've immersed myself in this is by helping others do the same thing. Is by creating a community of people and becoming part of an amazing community of people who want the same thing. And those people that are part of this community, we're all part of that 0.001% of people who are going to make this a lifestyle change and a forever change. I'll never go back. I will never go back. And it's not easy. And I struggle with it. And I struggle with it every single day. And I'll tell you, I struggled with it tonight. Today's my daughter's 12th Hebrew birthday. And so once again, we had cake back in our house. And it's a struggle. It's calling my name. It's in the kitchen, and it tastes really good because I celebrated with her tonight, and so I had some. And I can have some cake. I'm at a healthy weight. I can have some cake. But the fact that it's in my kitchen right now screaming my name, fortunately, I keep kosher, and we don't eat dairy after we eat meat, so I intentionally had some meat so it would, even if it called my name, I could say, nope, can't have you now, right? But so I had to set myself up for that. And that was a very specific, a very intentional decision that I made, was to have some and then to go have some meat, so I couldn't have any more. But it's hard. It's really, really, really hard. But by living this and by talking about this and immersing myself in this and creating my community, right? That is what has guaranteed my success. That's the total 100% secret to my success. So if you want to do this, if you want to get healthy and change your life for good, not only are you going to hop on, whether it's my program or some other program, but you're going to bring other people along with you. You're going to do this and you're going to help others. And if you choose to do it the way I did it, you can also change your life financially as well, because that's been a huge, huge, huge change in our lives. Hey, Gail. Happy Mother's Day to you too. So for those of you who don't know the piece of the financial piece, because I've been talking about my physical transformation, the financial transformation for us over the last 3 years has been amazing as well, right? By deciding to help other people get healthy, not only, like I said, did I lose the 75 pounds and I've kept it off for almost 3 years. I'm coming up on the 3-year mark. My husband lost almost 50 pounds and has kept it off he's coming up on his 3-year mark. He hit his mark before I hit mine. He had less weight to lose, and men lose weight faster. Thank you, Gail. But not only that, by reaching out and helping others, it also gave me the ability to fix our family's finances. We went from such severe debt where we were struggling to put food on the table to a life where we can live comfortably, right? You know, we can take the vacations that we want to take. We can do the things that we want to do. It's a totally different world. That struggle isn't there anymore. And I feel so blessed to have been able to have all of these things, right? My kids, 3 years ago when I first started this journey, we had promised our kids a trip to Disney World. Our whole family was going to Florida for the Passover holiday, and we had promised our kids to go to Disney World that year. And when it was time to go, we didn't have the money. We couldn't afford it. And we felt miserable because we had promised them this and we couldn't afford it. And fortunately, thankfully, my in-laws were generous enough to loan us the money to let us go, because how could we tell our kids, that were at the time 9, 7, and 5, that we had been promising them this trip and we couldn't do it, right? They had no concept of that. They had no concept of being able to afford it or not afford it. And we did, my in-laws helped us, and we pulled it off by the skin of our teeth. And this year, I was able to take my 3 kids on a week-long trip to Disney World and not worry about it, right? And just book it and just do it because I could. Because my life has changed so much, and not because it was just given to me, but because I've worked really, really hard over the last 3 years, immersing myself in a life of change, of changing everything, right? Of building the new life that I couldn't even dream of 3 years ago. I couldn't dream of the life that we've built now. And that's one of the biggest things that's happened over the last 3 years is I've learned to dream. I've learned to dream really big, right? Disney World, it was one of those things. My husband and I were sitting there. It was actually my birthday. We were out for celebrating my birthday. And I had been saying I wanted to take my kids someplace for spring break. I wanted to take them. And he couldn't take off another week of work because we were going away right before that on an amazing cruise with my company. And so he's like, I can't take another trip. And I looked up, and on the TV screen, there was a commercial for Disney World. And I looked up and I saw that commercial and I said, I looked at the screen and I said, that's what I want to do. And he looked at me, he's like, what? I said, I'm taking him to Disney World. And he said, what? And I said, yeah. And he said, but I can't go, because here I was taking 3 kids, 12, 10, and 8, or almost 12, almost 10, and 8, since my girls just had their birthdays. And he was like, really? Like, he thought I was totally crazy. And I was like, yeah, I think I'm going to do it. I said, would you be upset? Would you care? And he said, no. He said, I'll sort of, I'll miss going, but if you want to do it, go for it, right? I mean, how crazy is this? 3 years ago, when we talked about doing this, we couldn't afford it. And now I looked at the TV screen and said, I'm going to do it. So the next day, that was, we got home late that night. The next day I hopped on the computer and I looked up flights and said, yeah, I can do it. And I called my friend who's a Disney travel agent and said, help me book it. And we booked it, right? And I took them on a trip of a lifetime, pulling out all the stops. Like, for those of you who followed me, you saw they didn't take any shortcuts on this. And people kept asking me, why are you doing this? And I said, because I can, right? Because I can. And I feel so blessed to be able to do this. And the truth is, this is a life that anyone who wants this life can build. Anyone. There's nothing special about what I've done. I've worked really hard, right? And I learned to speak the language. I've lived the language, and that's where my secret comes in. That's what it's been. I made a decision that I was tired of living the way we were living 3 years ago, and I made a decision that something had to change. And once I made that decision, God gave me these gifts. Right? God gave me the gifts and handed it to me and said, you got to work for this, right? Nothing is handed to us on a silver platter. Nothing is handed to us, but I was given the gifts and I was given the abilities to do this, and the abundance that has come from it, and the amazing things that have come from it, and the things that my kids have learned, and the way our life has changed, and the blessings that have come is just overwhelming. And so I just want to say to you, whatever you're struggling with, you can have this too. You can have this too. You can have the life that we're in the process of building for ourselves, because I can tell you I'm not done. We're not done, right? We are continuing to build. We are continuing to give, and I am continuing to give this gift to as many people as I can possibly give it to. So if any of my story resonates with you and you need help, please feel free to reach out, call, ask for help. I'm here, just as a listening ear if you need somebody to listen, to bounce something off of, because I've been there. And I know how hard it is, but I can tell you, I'm not going back. My family's not going back. And I hope, to help so many more people be in that 0.001% of people that can get healthy and can stay healthy. So I hope you have a great night. If your Mother's Day is almost over, it's 11:59. If you are celebrating Mother's Day, again, happy Mother's Day. And have a great night. And I will see you back here tomorrow night, hopefully much earlier. I'm much later because my wallet has disappeared. It's somewhere around here, I hope. And I've been hunting for it all night. So I took a break to hunt for it, to come on live here. And then I'm going to go hunt for it a little bit longer before I go to bed and hope that it shows up. So if you're the praying type, give a little shout out, to the man upstairs asking to help me find my wallet because this is driving me nuts. So, and I don't want to have to go replace my driver's license tomorrow morning. So, hope you have a great night, and I will see you back here tomorrow. Bye.